What we thought we'd do today first is show a video, and it's capturing the experience that Chevy Chase Presbyterian Church over at the Circle had, as they are a little bit further along in this process than us. So we'll start out with that, then I'll come up and I'll tell you a little bit more about what we've done to this point, and then I'll hand it off to Valerie to tell you where we're going from here. So is it okay if we do the video? Perfect.
أنا إجرية ما عندي يحملوني إنه صار ضرب على البيت. وطلعنا الحمد لله الأمور تمام. بناية وهاي أنا أول ما فوت الأولاد فورا على الحمام، يعني قبل ما أعمل أي شيء، لأنه انضرب البيت ما عاد تشوف هالشيء من الغبرة والهاي على هوا الحجر ما بعجع والضرب وهيك أبدا. مفتوح فتح، يعني على هوا الضرب وعلى هوا الهاي فايت حتى غرفة النوم على يميني على هاي، يعني الضرب ما بالعقل. فهون وقت اللي انه طلعنا على الاردن هو الواحد هيك معرض للخطر. هلا هذا الخطر كان جاينا اصلا من البيت، نحن قاعدين بالبيت.
اجت عاصفه ترابيه اثناءها كمان. عاصفه تراب هواء وهنا على الحدود، فما بضل نحن نطص قدامها. يوم عرفت
كنت عم نرجف انه على هوا هاي ولا صوت.
في خوف، بس الخوف موجود بسوريا ولا يعني موجود.
يعني لا في صوت، لا بدك تطالع الصوت. الولد ما لازم يبكي.
الجيش الأردني من على الساتر في ساتر ترابة. أنا والله وقت اللي سلقتني الحكومة الأردنية إنه فكرت أنا هذا الجيش تبع الأسد. ممنوع إنك تشتغل، يعني بدنا نخنقك. يا بقول لك بدك تروح ترجع على المخيم، وعيشة المخيم ما بتنسكت. إني بيوم من الأيام إني أطلع على أمريكا ولا أفكر بطلعت أمريكا. لا أمريكا ولا غير بلد يعني عندنا. نحن كنا عم نقول إن اليوم بتخلص إن شاء الله الأزمة، بكرة بتخلص. تميت عم أعمل مقابلات، وهذا عملت 4 مقابلات. يعني تقريبا ما أكثر من حوالي 2 أكثر شوي يعني. هو اللي حابب مصيره، والحمد لله رب العالمين يعني مشيت معنا. كانت الطلعة من الأردن غصة. اي والله اني غصة اليوم، يعني اني انا متضايق، بس انا كل حياتي هون بخير، وهذا ما ناقصني الا ابي، لانه ما ضل لهم حليب الأردن بالمرة. طبعا كانت طلعة غصة لانه كانت صعبة. 4 أشخاص يعني عم يستنونا. كانت يعني كان موت كثير يعني.
On my way to the airport that night, I called Lucy, a longtime member of Chevy Chase. Didn't know whether she'd be awake, but she answered. Do you know where I'm going right now? And she said, where? I'm going to National Airport tonight to welcome the Syrian family that Chevy Chase is sponsoring. And I said, do you remember, Lucy? 30-some years ago, I remember that night very distinctly. We were on a plane for I don't know how many hours. When we arrived here, we were tired. It was a rainy night. I was 6 years old. We came to the house in the van, and you were there with Chevy Chase Church with food and toys for us to play with. And she said, yes, yes, I remember very well.
وصلنا لهون والحمد لله استقبلونا جماعة الحمد لله يعني كانوا لنا مثل الأهل يعني كانوا أهلنا يعني جينا لهون يعني غربي وما في حدا وما بنعرف حدا كانوا لنا أبدا مثل الأهل يعني شو بدنا شو نعتاز شيء شو
كاتبين لنا إنه حاطين لنا لوحة مكتوبة لي بالعربي أهلا وسهلا.
حتى العاب للاولاد اول ما اجينا استقبلونا اعطونا العاب للاولاد مشان انه يفرحوا هيك بعد يعني سفر طويل قدام 13 ساعه.
Right away, I remember that feeling of feeling safe. We weren't running away anymore. We knew what we were going to wake up to, and it wasn't going to be uncertainty. I wanted them to have that, because it just stays with you.
Because their apartment wasn't ready the day they arrived, the family stayed with my family for about 2 weeks, and we lived together. When they then moved to their apartment, my son said to me, well, when are they just going to go home? When are they going to go back to their home in Syria? And I said, they can't go back to their home. And I showed him pictures of their city before and after, and he looked at me and he said, how can there be all this destruction and this war going on and we're not even learning about it in school? That was just such a powerful moment. I think it also really opened his eyes and my other children too.
عرفنا على بعض بالإنترنت.
مرت والله ونعم الناس. اي والله ونعم الأخت، والله مثل أخت إلي. والنعم والله وجوزها آرمين يعني هذا إنسان بينحب بيشهد الله يعني من قلبي من جوا بحبه.
It's very important that the family that we were helping would be close, because it would be too far away for our community to really help them on a more regular basis. And it's been so wonderful to have them nearby.
بالضبط حتى مثل ما عم بقول لك مثل ما قلت لك توني انه كانوا عائلتنا الثانيه يعني اجينا هون بلد غربي لا بنعرف حدا يعني كل اعضاء الكنيسه بشكل عام كانوا عائلتنا الثانيه يعني هن اجينا لهون بلد يعني نحن اول ما اجينا لهون قلنا بلد غربي وهيك بس لا وقت اللي اجينا لقينا عن جد لقينا اهل.
I think it's so important that we do everything we can as Americans and as members of our neighborhoods to integrate people who are coming to our country into our communities and help them learn about our country and our community because they want to. If we fully integrate them into our lives, it makes everyone's life richer.
ايه كمان هاي ما بتقطعنا من الزيارات، يعني حتى الزيارات بيجوا لعنا. يعني انه بيجوا لعندك زيارات، ناقصك شيء، لازمك شيء، الاولاد عم يروحوا على المدارس، خوفهم علينا شيء لا يوصف، خوفهم على الاولاد شيء لا يوصف. اعياد الميلاد انا معلش احكي بصراحه احنا ما بنعمل ميلاد، ما انه ما بنعمل يعني احنا ما بنفطن بهذا الشيء ما بعرف. هني عندي عملوا عيد ميلاد لزوجتي وعملوا عيد ميلاد
When I see the children laughing and playing with other children, I know that things are okay. I feel like we're going in the right direction.
Playing with friends and making friends, and they're with people who are going to care for them. For the children, it's about making them feel safe and letting them have a childhood.
إن كثير أنا بحترمهم يعني، والفضل اللي هذا اللي عملوه معي لهم فضل كبير عندي إن شاء الله، وإن شاء الله إني أقدر إني كافيهم
I mean, you fear what you don't know, and it's about not understanding what it is, the situation refugees are coming from or running from. I mean, it's not a choice. We're compelled to leave. All we're doing is seeking a safe place to continue living our lives. And if home, where you came from, is no longer safe to do that, you have no other choice, if there is a choice.
Resistance to refugees is understandable because of the way the media has covered it, but it's so unnecessary. They spent time as refugees in Jordan for 4 years, but it took 2 years for the United States to vet them and fully check out their story and interview them and interview them and interview their friends and family and make sure that they were okay to come into the country. These people go through more screenings than anyone else that comes in this country. It's so thorough and exhaustive. There's extensive vetting, and it's by several U.S. government agencies: Homeland Security, State Department, FBI, CIA, and the UN. I think many people are intimidated to work with refugees or to co-sponsor with an agency to help resettle a family. It sounds like a big project, and it is a big project, but it's not impossible. It's very doable.
Really doesn't take much at all. All it really takes is an opening of your heart for someone else.
Hi to Kensington, this is Melody. I might direct your call.
Hi, Melody. I wanted to make an appointment with a general practitioner.
I mean, it's opening your heart and opening your doors to give someone that entry and help them to take a step forward into another life, to a safer place.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. So the only appointment they had was on Friday at 2, so...
Yeah, okay.
A friend.
No problem.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Great. It's just been so important to be able to help people learn how to navigate our system and understand, how to go to a job interview or how to make a phone call, how to open a bank account.
What we'll do is we'll provide a little note expressing just what you just said. Yes, it's okay.
Small things, how to ride the bus, things that maybe you wouldn't think of that they may not be able to do on their own initially. And each one of these things is like a step toward them having their own independence and being able to advocate for themselves. Has really come together, and it's really taught me that everyone has a role to play. It needs dedicated people who are interested in helping, and I think that you can find in any group or congregation. And it's just like helping your neighbor, because these are people who will be our neighbors.
تعال خذوني، تعالوا جيبوني.
هني ما بيحكوا شيء حرام، يعني هني بالعكس عقلهم احلى من العسل، بس الواحد قد ما كان يعني بده
لازم
يعتمد
اني
بالاخر
انا اعتمد
على
على حالي، لازم اني انا اعتمد على حالي واقف على رجلي ان شاء الله، وان شاء الله بمساعدتهم هني راح اوقف على رجلي.
I need to do this to make sure we keep opening our doors to people who want to be here, to create a richer community. It's about welcoming the stranger and loving your neighbors as yourself. Because it's, whether your neighbors across the world or next door, it's just about connecting.
You actually landed like almost 1 a.m.
Jordan to Egypt and 13 hours Egypt to New York and 1 hour New York to Washington.
Yes, they just looked, their eyes were they were just so tired, 1 year ago. Yay, today's 1 year.
اللي وقفوا جنبنا هن المسيحية، اخواتنا المسيحية وقفوا جنبنا. والله العظيم عمرنا ما فكرنا لا بهذا مسيحي ولا بهذا غير مسيحي الا بهالازمة هاي، وبالعكس اللي شفنا منهم كل خير الحمد لله رب العالمين. وهي انا قاعد بقلب الكنيسة.
My dad, more than anything, was grateful. Chevy Chase, they just embraced us and brought us into this community and made us feel safe. I need to do this to honor my dad's memory because I was a refugee. He was working 3 jobs to trying to get us to a place where we were self-sufficient. 10 years from now, I want to look back and know that, like we did 30 years ago, welcomed a family and put them on a road of promise like they did my family. 10 years from now, I want to know these 2 children, they're about to go out and be leaders in their own community and do their own good work, and that they're going to go out there and reach back and help someone else looking for a place.
Feel like enough said. So a little bit of background. So Chevy Chase Presbyterian was one of the first congregations in the area to work with Lutheran Social Services on their Good Neighbor program. Lutheran Social Service, you can't hear me? Sorry. I'll try and talk a little louder. All right. So Lutheran Social Services has been one of the organizations that has been receiving refugees for the past 50 years. And they started really during the Vietnam War era. And in this area, they're one of the larger and more established organizations doing this. So when they offered this Good Neighbor program back in, this is June of 16, they were introducing it at a presentation, and a few of us from St. John's went there. I know Julia Andrews was there, and we were just trying to get a little bit of information about it. At that point, Chevy Chase Pres had just received their family, just about a month earlier. So they're about a year and a half, I guess, or so ahead of us here. Since then, LSS, as I'll refer to them, has put together this program that allows congregations or communities to get together and offer levels of support going from what they call a level 1 up to a level 4. Or I should say the other way around. It's really because level 4 is the most basic. Level 4 is really what St. John's has been doing up to this point, and that is simply, I don't want to say simply because it's meaningful and it's significant, is putting together the apartment. So pulling together all of the things that they'll need, so when they arrive, they come to a fully furnished home and has everything that they're going to need to get set up. So we have done 4 of those, and really more than that, because I know. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Thank you very much. Who is one of our parishioners and is a realtor, had lots of furniture and so forth from staging that he had done at some of his properties. So he set up, I think, 1 or maybe even 2 apartments. Then another gentleman who attends here every Christmas, he has a Christmas party at his house, and the cost of admission is to bring something to set up, to contribute to the household of a newly arriving refugee family. And now Rob Mercer and his Rotary Club is getting ready to put together an apartment for an arriving family. So, I mean, what has just sort of blossomed out of that initial meeting is really spectacular. And it speaks to an energy that we started to realize that is here amongst us that we think we need to really honor and act on. And so after we did our last apartment this last June, it was a family of 11. And we did it in no time. I said, well, okay, this is crazy. You people are too good and too good at this to not take it to the next level. So we did some discerning. We talked with other congregations who had gone to a level 4, and I'll explain a level 4 here in a second, and to get their experiences. What did that look like? What were the implications of doing that? What were the ups and downs in that process? And so we had a couple of meetings with them. We surveyed all of the folks who had been involved with this process since the beginning to get a sense of their appetite for getting a little bit more, to kind of upping the ante. And consistently, the feedback, the responses were very clear that there's a desire here to do something more. So the level 4 commitment is a 1-year engagement with a family. It involves putting together an apartment, but it also means identifying that apartment and entering into the co-signing the lease on the apartment with the arriving family. So there's going to be a monetary obligation here. We're definitely going to have some financial investment. We'll have the apartment ready. We'll have a welcoming committee that helps them with their transition. And there's going to be a lot more going on. I'll stop there because I know Valerie's going to go into a lot more detail about that. But a level 4 is really the most significant relationship you can enter into with an arriving refugee family. As sort of mentioned in the video, the goal here is independence, and that's agreed upon on all levels. The family seeks that. They are so eager consistently to figure out a way that they're going to reestablish themselves in this new community. They just need some help with that transition and getting used to some of the traditions and the idiosyncrasies of living in an area that's so different from where they're coming from. So it's just our job to help them navigate through that. Maybe I'll stop there, Valerie, and Anne, yes, go ahead.
Just as Valerie gets up to present, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the presence of Masoma Sharifi. Masoma is an Afghan refugee who I met when she spoke at Rob Mercer's Rotary Club about her experience. She and her family came to the U.S. without the benefit of a fostering congregation. And I just want people to know she is here, and she speaks Dari. If you come back in English, she might help us with the translation. But if you want to ask someone with a real experience like Masoma's here today after the presentation.
Great, good, thank you, Anne. Yep, all right, good. All right, oh, I'm sorry.
Can you hear me? Do I need the mic? You need the mic. You need the mic. Okay. This. I'm Valerie Strochak. I think most of you know me. You've mainly seen me in the kitchen. And Christy King and I together are the coordinators of family services for our family that we hope will arrive in March 2018. Our job is to coordinate. There are 8 different teams that will work to support the family when they get here. You might have seen them listed in Crossroads, but I'll just go through them. It's employment, finance, food and clothing, housing and furnishing, language and tutoring, medical, dental, transportation, welcome, and also party and auction. The leaders of the auction, Liz and Suzanne, have asked me to do a shout out for the Party with a Purpose on February 10th. 40% of the funds raised for that party will go towards supporting our refugee family. So if you can't get involved in a team, you can come to a party and support us that way. So most of these teams can't really spring into action until we know when the family is coming. The housing team which is led by Nancy Adams, has been doing research on their apartment buildings and places for the family to live. One thing about us supporting the family this way is that we get to choose where the apartment. So we are trying to make sure that while it's affordable, it's also convenient for members of our congregation to get there and help them. The employment team too can do a little bit of advanced work, but really until we know who the family is, there's not a lot we can do until then. What we can do to get ready is to complete the training. We're running a training session immediately following this. So anybody who expects to have significant contact with the family or drive them anywhere needs to do this training, and they also need to have a background check. So we can all do that before they get here so that we're ready to hit the ground running when the family gets here. I think that's all like the things that need to be checked off. And one thing that from our emails that we saw this week is that, you know, the church is also try to provide opportunities for their congregation to get to know the family and the family to get to know them. But it's a, you know, a kind of a delicate process, I would say, that you have to, like, how much does the family want to interact with other people? You know, obviously language can be a big obstacle. But it seemed to me that in most cases, the families and the congregations did get to know each other, and it was a very beneficial relationship. So, but you have to be sensitive. You know, here they can be very traumatized. And it's, you know, of course, a totally different culture here. So you tread carefully at first.
Maybe I missed this at the beginning. I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask if you have any idea where, like, what geographic area the refugee family would likely be coming from, where most of the refugees that are coming from. I've done work with IRC, and they are taking in a lot of African refugees right now, actually. So I just wondered what Lutheran Social Services is seeing.
It seems that they are resettling mostly families from Afghanistan in our area. So.
Oh, I just wanted to add, we had a question about minors participating, and they are welcome to join in the effort. They cannot be, they don't have to go through the security screening, the background check, but they do have to be present with an adult. So a 16-year-old cannot come and tutor kids on their own. But if you have teenagers who might be willing to assist, it would be, I think, great to have kids on hand to work with small children while the mother is working with her tutor. So do encourage them to consider that.
And that was one of my favorite parts of this story, because Merritt over at Chevy Chase Presbyterian, who was the family, she's really the kind of the lead person over there, and she was the one who housed the family for 2 weeks until they had an apartment that opened up for them. But she's talked in the video and also outside of that about the impact it's had on her kids, and what a significant experience this has been for her family and her children to be able to interact and be a part of these people's lives as they transition in. So I think there's a real opportunity there for us and our whole families. So.
Any idea? I know we're hoping we will people who live in the best area, but what elementary school is Lutheran focusing on getting these kids in the same one, or are they thinking that that's better?
I would say,
Well, because we would like to have the family housed in an apartment that they could then afford to stay on in, we're looking at, I think Nancy Adams is in charge of the housing team, and the places that she's looked at so far are up Rockville near Twin Brook, which would be on the Red Line, and also in Silver Spring, not too far from Forth Glen or downtown Silver Spring. Yeah.
Just to clarify on the minors, do you mean 18 and under or 21 and under? Or do you know?
I don't know. I'm assuming 18.
Okay.
Because, yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, time to go. Please stay for training, which Melanie will.